Fix my cruise ship, and I'll marry you." The billionaire cruise owner laughed as she tossed the master engine key toward Captain Daniel Carter. Most people on the dock laughed with her. Daniel didn't. He caught the key, walked down into the engine room of the 70,000-ton luxury liner, and within seconds his expression changed. He froze. His fingers stopped on an old titanium mounting bracket hidden behind the primary fuel manifold. Nobody else aboard that ship would have recognized it. Daniel did. 14 years earlier, as a young engineering apprentice under legendary marine engineer Captain Heinrich Keller in Germany, he had personally helped install that exact bracket during the ship's original construction. It wasn't supposed to be there anymore. Someone had rebuilt part of the engine, and someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to hide it. At that moment, Daniel realized he wasn't looking at an ordinary mechanical repair. He was staring at the beginning of a multi-million-dollar fraud. For the past 8 years, Daniel Carter had lived a quiet life at sea. He captained charter vessels before eventually becoming chief captain of Atlantic Majesty Cruises. His wife had passed away years earlier, leaving him to raise his daughter, Lily, alone. Lily was 10 years old. Every voyage ended the same way. Daniel would return home, cook dinner, help Lily finish her homework, and prepare for another contract. He never chased luxury. He simply loved ships. His reputation spread through the maritime industry because people trusted him. If Daniel Carter inspected a vessel, everyone believed his word, which was exactly why billionaire cruise owner Vivian Ashford personally invited him to inspect her flagship vessel, the Ocean Empress, one of the most expensive private luxury cruise ships ever built. Vivian greeted him herself at the terminal. She was elegant, confident, and surrounded by executives who treated every conversation like a business negotiation. She smiled playfully. "So, Captain." Daniel nodded politely. "Miss Ashford, I've heard you're the best captain in the business." "I do my job," she laughed. "They say nobody can solve the vibration problem in my engine room." Daniel remained calm. "I'll take a look." She folded her arms. "If you fix my cruise ship." She grinned. "I'll marry you." Everyone nearby laughed. Daniel simply smiled politely. "I'd rather fix the ship." Her smile widened. "I like that answer." The Ocean Empress looked flawless. Polished decks, crystal chandeliers, luxury suites, restaurants that rivaled five-star hotels. But Daniel had learned long ago. Beautiful ships sometimes hid ugly secrets. Inside the engine room, everything appeared modern. Too modern. Several components claimed to be original factory equipment. Daniel immediately knew they weren't. Then he saw it, hidden behind a fuel delivery assembly, the old Heinrich titanium bracket. His heartbeat slowed. He crouched beside it. The serial number had been partially filed away, yet one tiny weld remained, a weld Daniel himself had practiced under Captain Heinrich years earlier. Nobody else could have recognized it, he whispered quietly. "This ship has been opened before, and whoever had done it wanted nobody to know." Instead of making accusations, Daniel continued working. He removed damaged components one by one. He ordered an original marine fuel pump from an old supplier in Hamburg who specialized in discontinued cruise ship parts. 2 days later, the replacement arrived. Daniel installed it carefully. Pressure tests were perfect. The vibration disappeared. The engines ran exactly the way Captain Heinrich had designed them years ago. When sea trials began, Vivian insisted on taking the helm herself. For nearly an hour, the Ocean Empress sailed smoothly through calm waters. When she returned to the harbor, she stepped onto the dock, smiling. "I haven't felt her sail this smoothly in years." Daniel nodded. "She's back to her original condition." She reached for her phone. "What do I owe you?" Daniel handed her the invoice. $4,800. Vivian looked surprised. "That's all?" "That's what the job was worth." She smiled. "I'm paying you $20,000. Daniel gently shook his head. You hired me to repair a ship. I did. I repaired it. She stared at him. You really won't take more? No. For the first time in years, someone had refused her money. Daniel reached into his pocket. He handed Vivian a business card. She frowned. A maritime attorney? James Holloway. What is this for? I think you should call him. She looked confused. About what? Daniel hesitated. I'm not the right person to explain. She studied his face. What did you find in my ship? Daniel answered quietly. I found something that shouldn't exist. She felt the seriousness immediately. He continued. Call him. As soon as possible. The next morning, Vivian met attorney James Holloway. Daniel wasn't present. Days later, James called him. She hired us. I expected she would. We're bringing in a marine forensic auditor. Daniel simply wished them luck. Then he returned to normal life. Another voyage, another inspection, another evening helping Lily with school. He almost forgot about Ocean Empress. Almost. 3 weeks later, his phone rang. The caller introduced herself. Anna Petrova, marine forensic accountant. She asked dozens of technical questions. When had Daniel recognized the modified bracket? How old were the replacement components? Which repairs were factory work? Which weren't? Nearly an hour passed. Before hanging up, she said quietly, Captain Carter, what you discovered in that engine room was the smallest part of the investigation. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Our current estimate exceeds $15 million. He remained silent. She continued. Someone has been stealing from Miss Ashford's cruise company for years. Within a month, everything exploded. Vivian's longtime chief operations officer, Preston Vance, was accused of manipulating maintenance contracts, replacing genuine equipment with cheaper parts, billing fake repairs, creating shell maritime companies, stealing millions. Federal maritime investigators raided company headquarters. Luxury offices were searched, electronic records were seized. Preston was arrested. News channels covered the story nationwide. Daniel watched everything quietly from home. He wanted no attention. He simply wanted peace. One rainy afternoon, Preston walked into Daniel's office at the harbor. He placed a sealed envelope on the desk. $300,000. Daniel never touched it. What for? You forget what you saw. I'm already a witness. You can forget. No. You can say your memory isn't perfect. Daniel slowly stood. I don't lie. Preston leaned closer. You have a daughter. Daniel's expression hardened. Lily attends Harbor Academy. Silence. Sometimes she waits outside after class. Daniel walked around the desk. Every step forced Preston backward. His voice became cold. Get off my shipyard! I'm only talking. No. Daniel pointed toward the exit. You just threatened my daughter. Preston realized he had gone too far. He picked up the envelope. Left without another word. 10 minutes later, Daniel called federal investigators. Every detail, every threat, every sentence. Within 24 hours, security officers were protecting Lily's school. Witness intimidation charges were added. The government's case became even stronger. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Preston accepted a plea agreement. He admitted wire fraud, corporate theft, witness intimidation. He was sentenced to federal prison. Vivian recovered more than $15 million in stolen company assets for the first time in years. Her cruise line was finally free. Nearly 2 months passed. Life became quiet again. One afternoon, Vivian arrived unexpectedly at Daniel's office. No assistants, no executives, no cameras. Just a small wrapped package. I brought something. Daniel opened it carefully. Inside lay Captain Heinrich Keller's original engineering journal, the very notebook Daniel had studied as a young apprentice. His own 24-year-old signature appeared beside Heinrich's handwritten notes. Below it. One sentence. The young captain has extraordinary hands. Time will determine whether he also develops extraordinary character. I believe he will. Daniel read it twice. His eyes filled with emotion. Vivian smiled gently. What does it say? Daniel closed the journal. He believed in me. They stood together overlooking the harbor. Vivian finally spoke. I've been thinking about that joke. Daniel smiled. Which one? Fix my cruise ship, and I'll marry you. I remember. I didn't know who you were. You weren't supposed to. She looked toward the Ocean Empress. I want to thank you. You already did. No, she smiled softly. I've established a maritime heritage restoration program. They're restoring historic passenger ships. They need someone to lead it. Daniel looked surprised. They asked for you. He remained silent. I have Lily. You won't have to move. You can captain ships and teach young engineers. He looked toward the sea, toward Heinrich's journal, toward the future. Finally, he smiled. I'll have the conversation. Vivian laughed softly. That's all I was hoping for. As she turned to leave, she paused. Captain? Yes. If Lily ever wants to visit the Ocean Empress, I'd love to show her the bridge. Daniel smiled warmly. I think she'd like that. He watched Vivian walk toward her ship. Then he looked down at Heinrich's journal once more. Some journeys begin with a joke. Others begin inside an engine room. And sometimes, the quiet captain who simply came to repair a ship ends up repairing far more than anyone ever imagined.